We begin with the part 2. This is the writing part in the exam scheme. The question 16 is to prove relationships of circles, and we have to find the circumference and some other interesting things to do. Let's move to the first question, that is to determine whether circles in these figures are either congruent, concentric, or neither. Now look at this. It's two types of pizza. Now if you look carefully, you can say that the radiuses are similar. The radius and the diameter are similar of both these pizzas. So we can say they are congruent. If they have same radius, they're congruent. We can try to say they are congruent, yes, because they look similar. Whereas over here you can see there are plenty of circles over each other. But what is common over here? All of them have a same center. So this circle is properly aligned over the other under the others. So now the above one, above, each one of them have a proper same center. So they are concentric basically. And similarly over here, now look at these coins. What about these coins? These are not same shape, they are not over each other, they are not having same radius, they are in different sizes, so we can tell they are neither because they're not congruent nor they are concentric. Looking into the next question, we need to find the circumference of this particular figure. Here they have given the sides. They have told this is 90°. What about this side? This one. It's obviously the hypotenuse, which is opposite to the 90°. So it's hypotenuse. But it's also the diameter of the circle, right? It passes through the center. You can see it cuts the center and touches the ends of the circle. So it's the diameter, and we can find the diameter of this particular circle from Pythagoras theorem. Now here hypotenuse, this is the diameter, right? It's d. So I will just use d over here. The d squared will be equal to the sum of the squares of other two sides. It will be 8 squared plus 6 squared. You can directly use your calculator and find it out over here. Or I'll just solve it up. It will be square root of 64 plus 36. 64, 70, 100. Square root of 100 is 10. So diameter is 10 centimeters. Now you don't need to do all these steps. Easily put it in the calculator over here. You will get this answer. Square root easily. You can get the answer. Now we found the diameter. That's fine, but that is not the question. We need to find the circumference in terms of pi. What is the circumference formula? There are two formulas. If you have the radius, it is 2 pi r. This is the formula which I generally use. But here now we have diameter. So you can remember the other formula. It is just pi times d. Because 2 times radius is diameter, right? A diameter is r and r, two radiuses. So here we can write c is pi times 10. But they have told to write in terms of pi itself. So it is 10 pi centimeters. That's the circumference. This is the answer. That's it. Only the circumference was the one. The exact circumference would be this. If you put this in the calculator, you will get 10 times 3, so it'll be 30.14 something. The decimals will be there, 30.1415. It keeps on going. It's not the exact because we would round it off, right? But they have told exact circumference in terms of pi. This will be the exact one. So it's 10 pi centimeter. And here it's the same thing, but I will do this one because the other side is not given. Or is it? They have told they are congruent sides, so this is also 9 basically. And now the diameter, this is the diameter, would be equal to square root of 9 squared plus 9 squared. Here it'll be 9 root 2, but anyways, 9 square, what you can do is it's 2 times 9 square, isn't it? It'll be root of 2 times 9 squared, and now it's easier to solve because square root of 9 squared will be 9, only root 2 will remain. So this is the diameter. Now in terms of pi, we know c is equal to pi d, and it'll be pi times 9 root 2, or you can write it as 9 root 2 pi inches. This is in inches. So this is now. Please don't go to simplify. Don't make it like Don't press SD and solve it. Keep it like this itself. Even in your calculator, you'll get 9 root 2 itself because they want the exact circumference. That would be the answer. So it is 9 root 2 pi inches. Please do try these problems by yourselves. I'll just quickly tell you this. This is here 7. This is one side, and these would be congruent to each other. So that would be 3, and you can easily use it up. Okay, but we have to use Pythagoras over. You see, it's 3 square plus 7 square. To find the diameter, it will be diameter square. Now you will get square root 58. Don't simplify it, keep it as it is and then use it. It will be square root 58 pi mm. Just now we have done similar problems. Pythagoras. Okay, now I did not write the Pythagoras theorem. You can write the formula. It's a square plus b square equals c square, and the circumference formula as well, and then simplify it. What about this? Here there is no inscribed triangles, but it's so easy because they have given you the diameter directly. This is all 90 degrees. That means it's a straight, absolute straight line. That's the diameter is 11 yards. YD is yards. So circumference will be pi d. Circumference is pi 11 times pi yards. That's it. So that would be the answer, 11 pi yards. And this is again the same one what we just now did. Square root of 12 square plus 25 square. It will be 13 pi. So 144 plus 25 is 169, and square root would be 13. So that's why it's 13 pi. And now we are at square root and square root. Same. Do the same procedure. You'll get the answer. You know over here square root plus square root would be 2. That's it when you do the Pythagoras theorem. And now we have to write a paragraph proof. What about this? Write a paragraph proof to prove theorem 5.1. The theorem 5.1, you need to prove that these both are similar. So you can see over here, prove the circle D is similar to circle E. They have just given these two circles. Now here in paragraph they write it out. I'll just explain you each sentence. Now first of all, what is circle? Circle is basically points from a specific distance. Now this is the center. You have equidistant points over here, isn't it? Now here, for any two circles, what can happen is you can translate it. Now imagine you translate this point from here to this. What happens? It will be concentric, right? Then this will be circle D. Then you can make it concentric because you will map this circle over E. I think so that's only told over here. Yes, mapping, yeah. It's concentric. And then there exists you can dilate it. If you dilate it, what's going to happen? If you dilate it, it becomes bigger, bigger. My circles are very, very bad, but still you get the point, bigger, and you can make the two circles equal. That means you can make them congruent. You can make them equal to each other. But I'm just telling if you dilate it. But over here, it's not about dilating. It's just that each circle can be made equal to each other with simple translation and dilation. So that means each of them are similar. Okay, because you can translate it over here and then you can dilate it and get the same thing. You can make them congruent. So this means any circle for that matter can be done this. So they are basically congruent to each other. Now let's just read through this over here. Can be moved by the same distance, that's what. And therefore exists a rigid motion followed by scaling maps. Okay, this is the thing. You can just tell this can be translated and then the scale factor can be changed and made both can be matched, and therefore they are all similar. So that's a simple thing, simple understanding. And over here we have another interesting problem. We need to go online to research a famous clock face, then use the diameter of the clock face to find the circumference. Round your answer to the nearest 100. Now here, I've already checked online and got this. This is the Big Ben, if you find it, if you just search it over here online. And this is the face of the clock. That's the Elizabeth Tower in London, where it's also called as Big Ben. It is having a diameter of 23 feet. It's gigantic. It's too huge, right? So we need to find basically the circumference of that. We just now did this pi d, but it's just that this is the diameter. Don't worry, in your exam they won't tell you to go online and stuff. The values will be given to you. So you can just use the formula, use your calculator and solve it. But here they told not in terms of pi, but to the nearest 100. So you need to keep two decimal spaces, two decimal points. That's it. And what about this question? Let's just read this. Zach is designing wheels for a concept car. The diameter of the wheel is 18 inches. Zach wants to make spokes in the wheel that runs from the center of the wheel to the rim. Okay, center of the wheel to the rim, that means it's a radius, right? In other words, each spoke is a radius. They have also mentioned it. How long are these spokes? So you're finding, see, this is the diameter told. What is the radius? Half of it, 9. Very simple. So please do try to read these problems by yourselves and solve it. But I'll read this one, it's looking different. So Katie slices through a circular cake. The cake has a diameter of 14 inches. And now let's just draw this because they have asked what and all it is. So imagine this is the cake and it is sliced. Sorry, the diameter is 14. Okay, from year to year the diameter would be 14 inches, and this random slice, because we need to find whether it's a radius, diameter or a circle. Let's just draw it like this. Katie made a straight and the length of 11 inches. Okay, the slice which was made is 11 inches, not 14. So obviously this is not diameter. This can be easily eliminated. Only if it was 14, that could be the diameter. And now they're asking whether it's a radius. To be a radius, doesn't matter how it is cut, it has to be half of 14.7. Doesn't matter this part or anything, it has to be like this anyway. It has to be 7, right? But it's more than 7. So if it's more than 7, it can be a chord. Anyway, right? Like this, it should be a chord because there's only 3 options. It can't be a radius, it can't be a diameter, it must be a chord. Let's just look into this. Yes, it's a chord. Why? Because it's not 14, it's not 7, it should be a chord. And now this one, I remember doing this in my class during revision. Um, Over here, one of the students told it accurately. It's very simple. 3 identical circular coins are lined up in a row. The distance between the centers of the first and the third coin is 3.2. Okay, this one. What is the radius of one of this? See, now they have told this is the center, right? This is also the center. So over here to over here, this end will be radius, and this one will be 2 radius. Directly you can write. Or you can consider this is diameter, right? This, the entire thing will be diameter, so it is 2 times radius. So r, 2r and r will be 4r radius. That is equal to, given over here, 3.2. Now you can easily solve it up. Just divide it by 3.2 by 4. 32 by 4 is 8, so it will be 0.8 over here. Radius is 0.8 centimeter. Now what do you want? What is the radius of one of these coins? So one of this coin's radius is 0.8. That's it. So that's how we solve it. Again, easy problem. Now I can see it has been told diameter is given. Please do try this by yourselves, okay? The solution answers are there, but you can just pause at the question and try it by yourself and then continue. You have to just find the circumference over here. All the values are given. Try it by yourselves. Over here, then we have to find the radius. Oh, sorry, the circumference is given. The diameter is to be solved, and then for the radius. Okay, how can we describe the relationship that exists between circles and line segments? Let me just go through the solution and see what they want. Okay, they're just explaining about diameter, radius. Let me just draw it out over here. So we have a circle. The lines. There is a diameter line. There is a radius. There is a chord. So this is the main things that's it depends on how the endpoints from center to any point will always be a radius, whereas a chord can be any 2 points. The endpoints must be on the circle, whereas diameter is same like a chord, but it must also pass through the center. So that's the conditions, and you can see, you can just read through this. And okay, this one as well. I remember my student solving this problem on his own. Now, over here, this is interesting because the sum of the circumferences of circles h, j, and k are 56 pi. Find kj. Now, many times students will be, okay, this is a triangle, so is this the sum of all these sides or something? They might get confused. Some of them, what they do is they just add up these sides. Say this is radius, right? 4x, so this will also be 4x. This will also be 2x, and this is x and x. So they add this up, and that is equated to 2 pi. That would be wrong. The actual method is circumference of each circles, right? The sum of the circumference. So what is circumference? It's 2 pi r. Because of a radius is given, I'll write 2 pi r. Now we know the sum of circumference is, I'll write all, is 56 pi. That would be equal to 2 pi. What is the radius for the circle? Let's start with h, j, and k. H is 2 pi x plus 2 pi j is again 2x plus 2 pi 4x. We can remove this 2 pi common out because it's repeating. So I'll remove it out. 2 pi. What happens? X plus 2x plus 4x. That is 56 pi. Now you can divide both the sides by 2 because this is removed out. It's now multiplication over here. It goes to the other side. You can divide it. This cancels. Divide both the sides by 2. Here also you divide both the sides by pi. So that basically cancels. And this gone. 56 by 2 would be 25 plus 3 is 28. X plus, now you just add them up. X plus 2x is 3x plus 4 is 7x. So I will just write it 7x. Now divide both the sides by 7. You will get 4 equals x. That is the x value. But here they are not asking you for the x value. They want kj. So now if you find 4 and this, if you select it as the correct answer, it's wrong. What is kj? Kj is 4x. See, this much is 4x plus 2x, right? 4 times x is again 4 plus, I'll write over here, 4x plus 2x is kj. 4 times 4 plus 2 times 4 is equal to kj. That is 16 plus 8, 24 is the actual value. 24 units. They have not given any units, so write just units. So 24 units must be the answer here. This is the method. Let's just check it out. Yes, 24 units is the correct answer. This is how we can solve them. Now these are the last two problems. Let's quickly go through them. Is the distance from the center of a circle to a point in the interior of a circle sometimes, always, or never less than the radius of a circle? Justify argument. Now is the distance from the center to any point, it must always be a radius. Why? Because they're telling from the center to any interior point, to any point. What is that? If I'm drawing a line from the center to any point on the circle, it's always a radius. It is not like sometimes or never, it's always a radius. That is the answer, okay? Because that's wrong over here, they have explained. It's always a radius. Design a sequence of transformation that can be used to prove that the circle D is similar to circle E. So what you basically have to do is how to prove it. First is understand what is the radius of this circle. It's 1 unit. Over here it is 1, 2, 3 units. Okay. The circle D is equal to 1 unit. Okay, it's not equal to 1 unit. R is equal to 1 unit. In circle E, R is equal to 3 units. Why do we need this? So I know I need to dilate this by 3 units to make it equal. But that is the later part. First, let's make the centers equal. So what you need to do is you need to translate it down by 1, 2, 3, 4 units. 4, y is equal to minus 4, and then left 1, 2, 3 units, x is equal to minus 3. Then it will be concentric. The d will be over here, and then you need to dilate it by 3 units. The dilation scale factor k is equal to 3. That time it will be it will be similar. So okay, they have written the sentence and stuff. First you need to translate the 3 units left. Yeah, correct, x is equal to minus 3. You can see it's left 1 2 3, and then down by 4 units, 1 2 3 4, which we told minus 4y. And then you need to, scale factor of 3, dilate it by 3 times. That is how we do it. So that is the end of the question number 16. I hope you have understood it thoroughly. Please try to solve the problems by yourselves. And if you're stuck anyway, if you have any questions, doubts, please post them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Question 17 is to describe sample spaces by intersections and unions. Now let's look into a problem. Here we have a fair die which has been rolled once. Let A be the event of rolling an even number and let B be the event of rolling a number greater than 4. Find A intersection B. This symbol over here, intersection, means the sample space must be there in this A and B, in both the events. Then that is intersection. Only such terms will be considered. If you write all the terms together, that would be union. Now let's try solving this one. First, what is A? A is rolling even number. It is 2, 4, and 6. You can write this as even numbers. What about the even B? It is rolling number greater than 4. See now, greater than 4 means, is the 4 included? So greater than 4 means it is 5 and 6. The 4 number is not included. If it was greater than or equal to 4 means 4, 5, 6. But here they have just told greater than, it is just greater than 4. Now we need to write A intersection B, that is the terms which are common in both. That is only 6 over here. So that is your answer. A intersection B is 6. And we can see the sample answer as well. They have written the same thing. The A intersection B means it contains both the outcomes of the sample space A and B, outcomes from both. So similar problems are there. Please do try this. Here I will just quickly walk through this. A fair die is rolled once. Let A be the event of rolling an even number and B be the event of rolling odd number. Now look at this. We have even and odd. Is there any number which is both even and odd? No. Even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, and odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and goes on. But here, since we are just rolling a die, the maximum can be capital 6. So we can write the sample space of A, 2, 4, 6, B is 1, 3, 5, and none of them are common, so we use the null set symbol psi over here. So this is how we write it. And you can just write empty set or null set as well, or the symbol, it's fine. Here we have been given a spinner and we need to find these given things. So let A be the event of the spinner landing on 4 or 10. Okay, what is A? 4 or 10, that's it. So that will be the answer, 4, 10. And what is B? Spinner landing on a section which is divisible by 4. Which is divisible by 4, or you can even consider it to be multiple of 4. It's the same thing. So 4, 8, 12, and so on. That is, over here only we have 4, 8, and 12. But divisible of 4 are basically like multiples of 4. So here it's only 4, 8, 12. What is common in both? Intersections. So it must be common in both of these. It's only 4. That's the answer. Now, similar way, please do try solving these yourselves because they are pretty straightforward and the answers can be seen over here. Just see what is asked. Okay, since they have asked prime numbers, I'll just tell you prime numbers are not divisible by any numbers except itself and 1. 1 is not a prime number. It starts with 2, but each and every number is divisible by itself because it'll give you the answer 1, and it's also divisible by 1. You can divide by 1 any number, it will give the same number, right? So other than those, If it cannot be divided by any numbers, then it is prime. Say for example 11. You can't divide it by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's not possible. Only by 1 and 11, therefore it's prime. See, why 6 is not a prime? Because you can divide 6 by 3. Answer is 2. You're getting a whole number. So it's not a prime. And over here, multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12. And find the common numbers. Here we have problems on cards. A card is selected from a standard deck of cards. Now, this term here, standard deck, means it has only 52 total cards. It doesn't include the jokers in it. No extra cards. Each suit just has 13 cards, that is from A to 3 till 10, and there are picture cards, that is King, Jack, and Queen. What is the probability that a card is a diamond and is 7? Here we are not finding the sample space, here we are finding the probability. So there are plenty of ways to do it. Now, if you want to directly write it, see what is the probability of 7 diamonds in the total deck of cards? There's only one diamond which is 7, right? 1 out of 52. This is the answer. It's very simple. But how exactly would you do in a writing exam? You need to write out, right? So you can do one thing. Probability of A, that is all the diamonds, how many are there? They are basically 13 out of 52. And the probability of a number being 7, what is the probability? It is 4 by 52. Now if you multiply these both, 13 by 52 into, you should write this probability of A. You should mention this is number being diamond. This is number that is 7. And then if you multiply these two, what's going to happen? Now it's 1 times and 4 times and 4 1 time and 1 time. The answer is 1 by 52. This is also the same answer, right? It should be the same. This is one way to do it. Otherwise, you can do a Venn diagram. Now imagine you draw Venn diagrams, in the sense two circles and intersections. Now, which are all the cards that are diamonds? You have one ace of diamond, two diamonds, three diamonds, four diamonds, and so on. It keeps on going till king of diamonds. Okay. Now, which are the sevens? You have 7 from clubs. I'll write 7 from hearts next, and 7 from spades. Now 7 from diamond is what is required, and even over here there is 7 diamonds, so we'll write in the middle section, that is the intersecting. So what is the desirable solution? That's 1 desired outcome, sorry, 1 out of 52, the total outcome. So these are other methods to solve this up. So whichever is convenient you can choose. Here the answer is given as, you can see they have written all the details, whatever is just told, and they have done a Venn diagram. And 1 by 52 is the answer. If you put in the calculator and press SD, you get 0.0192. That is, if you multiply that number by 100, you get in percentage, that is 1.92%. That's how we solve this. Now try this by yourselves. A card is selected from a standard deck of cards. Again, there are total 52 cards. What is the probability that the card has the number on it that is divisible by 2? Okay, it can be any number that is divisible by 2 and it is black. Now, if you think practically, like think directly the answer, let's see which are the numbers which are divisible by 2 in the cards. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It can be the it's black suits, right? So it can be the clubs or spades. So there is 5 times 2, that is 10 possibilities, total 10 possibilities divided, the favorable outcome divided by the total outcome is 52. This must be the answer, 10 by 52. Now if you want to solve it one by one, what are all the numbers divisible by 2? There are total 5 numbers divisible in one particular suit. There are 4 suits, right? Clubs, spades, heart, and diamonds. So it will be 5 times 2. It's 20 desirable, 5 times 4, sorry, 20 desirable outcomes divided by 52 multiplied with. Now, how many are black? So there are 26, 13 in one black suit, that is clubs, and then another 13 in spades. So it's 26 by 52. So it's basically 1 by 2. And this one time, 10 times, it's 10 by 52. The answer will be 10 by 52. You can do any method, or you can do the Venn diagram over here. It's shown the Venn diagram, yes. So this is also possible. The final answer will be 10 by 52, that is 5 by 26. Now we have another spinner with alphabets over it now. So let A be the event that the spinner lands on a vowel, and let B be the event that lands on the letter J. What are the possible outcomes? Now vowels, I'll come to it in a while. The letter J, there are two letters. Do we write both? No, we just write once, okay? The B would be just J. What are vowels? Vowels, as we know, it's A, E, I, O, U. What exactly are they? They are some special letters which will change the pronunciation. Say, for example, an apple. You don't tell a apple. Before a vowel, we call it an. And say, for example, event. Now we have the event. Let B be the event that lands on the letter. If you see THE before a vowel, you call it the, whereas if you see it before letter like a consonant, other than vowels are consonants, you call it the. So the pronunciation changes. There are various other things, but the basic thing is an and and the and the and such like that. So here vowels are A, E, A, but A is repeated twice, so no need of writing A, E, U, O. Those are the vowels. A, E, O, U. And over here we have only J. Now we have to find the union, so we need to write them all up together. A, E, O, U, J. That's the answers. Now the next problem is again the same, but it's just they have asked consonants this time. So consonants is anything other than vowel. It's K, H, S, J. So those are the consonants. And over here, what is the next one? It lands on K. Landing on K is only one possibility, that's K. And write all of them together. But here K is already mentioned in the set A, right? So you just write the set A because we don't write it K, comma K again, just once. And over here, a random number generator is used to generate one integer between 1 and 20. Let C be the event of generator generating a multiple of 5. Okay, multiple of 5 within 1 to 20. The numbers are generated randomly from 1 to 20 only. Now we need this set to be a multiple of 5. It's either 5, 10, 15, 20. These are the possibilities. So that's it. Now D be the event generating a number less than 12. So it can be anything until 12. So 1 to 11. That's it, 1 to 11. And what is the union of these both events? It would be 1 to 11, and then we have 15 and 20. Just write all the numbers. If they are repeated, only write it once. And the last problem in this topic, that's the question 17. Again, a random number generator is used, but this time we are generating integers from 1 to 100. Let A be the event generating multiples of 10 and B be the event of generating a factor of 30. Now this is important. I'll come to it in a while. What are the possible outcomes of each event? Now multiples of 10 is simple. 1 to 100, 1, 10, 20, 30 and so on till 100. Now what are the factors? Now there are different methods to solve for factors. Now here it's not least common multiple. It's the factors, all possible factors. Now factors means 30, how can it be written by using two integers? In the sense, 2 multiplied by 15 is a possibility, right? These both are the factors of 30. Same way I can write this as 3 times 10, isn't it? This is also a factor, these both are factors. Now the first factor, which I have not written over here, is always 1 and itself. Any number can be multiplied by 1 and by itself, right? So this is the first factor, 1 times 30. Next would be start with the number 2. If it's not possible, go ahead with the next number. 3 is also possible. What about 4? No, 4 is not a factor. If you know the tables of 4, we will have 28 and then 32. So 4 is not possible. What about 5? Yes, 5 is possible. 5 times 6. And now when we go next, it's again 6 repeated, right? No, we don't use this. What about 7? No. 8? No. 9? No. 10 is already mentioned. 11, 12, 13, 14 is not possible. 15 is mentioned and then we go back 30. So when we reach the halfway, we can stop. So now these are all the factors. So let's write them out. You can see it's a 1, 2, 3, 5, then 6, 10, 15, 20. The factors of the area. Now we need to write all of them together, right? All these factors and include the event A as well. So that is how we can easily solve it up. Now, please do write the sentences. I might have directly written it. Please do write the sentences and then write the answer. Don't directly jump to the answer. It's a pretty simple method. Please practice them by writing by yourselves. You can practice the same questions without looking at the solutions. And if you have any doubts, please post them in the comments. Question number 18 is to solve equation by elimination method. Now here, as long as you solve the system of equation, it's fine. But elimination method anyways is one of the easiest methods, so we will do by the system of elimination itself. But otherwise, if you know any method of solving systems, just go ahead with it. It will be fine. Now the elimination method is about subtracting. You need to cancel two terms and then simplify. Now first thing, look at the terms over here. 3x and below is 5x minus 2y plus 3y. There is nothing that can easily be cancelled off. But here we have opposite signs anyways, minus and plus. This really helps us. So leave the signs, just look into the numbers. And also see the numbers are much easier. 2 and 3 is the smaller numbers compared to 3 and 5, right? So we will consider these numbers and multiply to the other equations. Now if you're seeing this number 2, you don't multiply here 2, you multiply on the other equation. Multiply this by 2 and 3 here. If you're choosing y, choose the y in the other equation. 3 multiply throughout by that term. Why do we do this? We do it so that we will have two equations common and then we can cancel it off. Here, remember to multiply 3 throughout, not just to one term, not just this term, throughout. So what will happen is, I'll write it over here. 3 times 3 will be 9x minus 6y equals 4 times 3 is 12. Now do the same thing in the second equation. Here you multiply 2. It'll be 5 times 2 is 10x plus 6y equals negative 50. Now simplify them. You can't cancel this, but you can cancel the y terms. Y plus 6 minus y is 0, so it's 0y gone. Now what remains over here? You just add them up, okay? Just add them every way. 9 plus 10 is 19x and minus 50 plus 12, it'll be 40 minus 2, it's 38, but minus sign. Why? Because 50 is having negative. Now divide both the sides by 19 and you're gonna get x is equal to minus 2. That is the first answer. That is x value we found out. Now how do we find the other value? Just substitute this back in the simpler equation. You can do it in any, but see the first equation is simple, right? Small numbers, this is big numbers. But you will get the answer same. I will do for both in this case. I will do over here 3 times, instead of x I'll put minus 2 y equals 4, or 5 times minus 2 plus 3y equals negative 25. Let me solve both of these. It'll be minus 6 minus 2y equals 4. And here, what I'll do is I'll take this negative 2y to the other side and bring my 4 to the other side. It becomes minus 4 equals plus 2y. It's going to be minus 6 minus 4 is minus 10 equals 2y. Divide both the sides by 2. You'll have minus 5 equals y. Now here also we need to get the same answer. Let's do it. It'll be negative 10 plus 3y equals negative 25. And take this to the other side. It's going to be 3y equals minus 25 plus 10 is negative 15. Y, divide both the sides by 3. You will have negative 5. This is the answer. It's the same answer, you can see. So this is how we basically solve. The solution is minus 2 comma minus 5. We always write x comma y, x first and y next. Now you can check your answers in the calculators as well. I will show you now. To solve systems of equation in calculator, you have to just press mode. Say, look, this is the default mode. Press mode, you will have many options. These are equations. So press 5 for equation. And now, which is this? This is not having square or cube. It is not having 3 variable. It's only the option 1 that is possible for this. So let's press 1 and you can now type in the values. It is 3 minus 2 and then we have 4. Now look carefully. Here the equal to must be number. See, the right side must be only number. The first term is the coefficient of x, next coefficient of y equal to this thing. 1 minute, let me just go back. More phi. Over here the standard form is that it should match this. X and y are together equals to the constant term. So we just type them up now. 3 minus 2, 4, and 5, 3 minus 25. This is all typed in. Press equal to, it gives you the x value, that is minus 2, and y value is minus 5. So this is how we can check our answers. But you need to do the write-up, you need to write it and then check your answers. You can see that's the answers we got. X is minus 2 and y is minus 5. You can check this answer as well and solve it up. I will just do it again. The calculator method is mod phi and 1. Remember, this is just to check your answers. It's phi 2, 12, minus 6, minus 2, and negative 14. The answers must be 2 and 1. Now, how do you solve this? I will do this over here. It's very easy to solve this one. Why? Because you have plus 2 minus 2. This cancels off when you add these two equations. And then what happens? 5 minus 6x is only minus x equals minus 2. Now, negative sign cancels, dividing both the sides by minus 1. You will get x is equal to 2. Now what about y? Substitute in any equation. I will take phi times 2 plus 2y equals 12. The first equation is used here. It will be 10 plus 2y equals 12. Take this to the other side. It will be 2y equals 12 minus 10. 2y equals 2. Y is equal to 1 because dividing both the sides by 2. And these are the solution set. 2, 1 is the answer. So this is how we can easily solve it up. 2 and 1 is the answer. Please solve the other problems by yourselves. They are pretty straightforward. Now I'll do this last one. Why? Because over here both are positive. Both the equations, the variable, the coefficients of both the variables are plus and plus. What do you do in such cases? Take the easier number. Now I'm not going to choose 7 and 21 because they're huge, right? You have to multiply throughout by 21. I mean, it's possible you have calculators, but still I'll choose 2 and 6, which is easier. What I'll do is I'll just multiply the first equation by 6 and this by 2, and let me get the equations. The new equations formed are 7 6 are 42x plus 12y equals negative 6, and 21 times 2 is 42x and plus 12y. Okay, now I forgot to tell you one thing, guys. You should not multiply both plus. You should just change one sign here, okay? At least one term sign. Now, I did multiply 6 here. Here you need to at least multiply by negative sign, okay? Or you can write positive both sides and then you should change the signs for all and subtract it. So it's easier if you do minus, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just multiply the below term by negative 2. So it'll be minus 42 minus 12 equals positive 18. And now look here, when you add them up, this cancels, 0 equals over here 12. Is this correct? This is wrong. There is no solution. This cannot be solved. Now, what if you do it in your calculator? You will get a math error. So in your calculator also it will tell you it's wrong. See, this is not possible. There is no solution. Here it depends on which coefficients you use. If you use different coefficients, you're going to get different number. But anyways, you will get an error. See, this is wrong. 0 is not equal to 12. I got 0 equals to 12 when I solved this. So it's an error. This has no solution. Now try the others. The methods are also available over here. Most of the time you'll get the answers. You can check your answers in the calculator as well. Here the answers are, here y is 3 by 2 and what is the x value is half. So it's supposed to be over here the answers are not matching. We can just check it in the calculator. I've typed in all the coefficients, and when I press equal to, it's negative half. This is correct. And then you have 3 by 2. So over here, just be careful. This was an error. And all the other problems, please do try to solve it by yourself. Generally, you will have solutions. If you do not have, it'll either be no solution or infinite solution. Now I'll solve this problem as well. Now let me just solve it up. So let me choose any two numbers. I'll choose 6 and 3. I'll change one of the sign. I'll change this sign to minus when I multiply the coefficient. So this will be multiplied by minus 3 throughout, and this one with positive 6 throughout. Now, sometimes students multiply the first two terms and they forget to multiply this 3, because I've seen many of my students do that mistake at times. Please don't do that. Multiply throughout all the three terms. 6 times 3 is 18. It'll be negative 18w plus a3s are 24z and equals 16 times 3 is 48. Now, what about this term? It'll be my positive 18w, and we will have over here 6 fours are 24, so it is plus minus 624, sorry, 24z equals 8 6 are 48. Now let's solve this up. Let's add them up. And over here, I forgot to write the sign. See, I messed it up. It's minus 18 plus 24 and minus 48. Now let's solve it up. What's going to happen? This cancels, 0. This cancels, this cancels. 0 equals 0 is what we got. Now this over here is true. Yes, 0 is equal to 0. Or if you use some other variables, you might have different numbers. 1 equal 1, 2 equal 2. This is an identity. Since it is true, this is true for every time. That means both the equations here are same. They're literally the same equations. They are infinite solutions. Now I can prove that they are same. Let me just divide this by 2. Okay, the first equation. Let me divide it by 2, or let me multiply the second equation by 2. Anyhow, so I will just divide this by multiply by half or divided by 2. So it'll be 3w minus 4z equals 8. Now compared with the second equation, they are the same, right? So it's basically the same equations. They are overlapping and there are infinite solutions. And that's the answer. And that's the end. Please do try solving problems on yourselves. Write and solve. Please go through the steps and it'll be very easy. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comments. Before we continue, a quick and humble request to all of you. Please do share my videos with your friends. If you have benefited from it, please do share along and please do subscribe to my channel. And if you have found these videos helpful, please do hit the like button. This would mean so much to me. Now the question 19 is about probability. It's mainly about the independent and dependent events. Let's look into this problem. Omari has 2 pairs of red socks and 2 pairs of white socks in a drawer. He has a drawer with 2 red t-shirts and 1 white t-shirt. If he randomly chooses a pair of socks from the sock drawer and a t-shirt from the t-shirt drawer, what is the probability that he gets a pair of red sock and white t-shirt? Now here, there are 2 things, that is socks and t-shirts. First of all, are these dependent or independent? Now, dependent means if you choose something from here, it's going to affect the probability of the next one. Now, if I choose the socks from the 2 red socks, if I choose one, will the t-shirts be affected? Will it reduce or increase? Absolutely no, right? It's going to be the same thing. So here these are independent, in the sense they are independent variables, in the sense whatever you do over here, the probability does not affect the other event's probability. So now let's take it one at a time. First of all, the probability of A and B for independent events is very easy. It's probability of A multiplied by probability of B. These both are not affected at all. Now here, see, we need to find what the probability that he gets a pair of red socks and white t-shirt. Now, how many red socks and how many socks are there in total? Let's see the probability. The total outcome divided, the desired outcome divided by the total, right? So it's always desired, it's D, desired by total outcomes. Now here, how many are they? There are four socks because he has two pairs of red and two pairs of white. That means four is the total. But what is desired? What do we need to find the probability of? Red socks only. So it's 2 by 4 multiplied by how many t-shirts are there? There are two red t-shirts and one white t-shirt. That means total three t-shirts. And what is being selected? White t-shirt. That is 1 by thirds. So you simplify this. That will be your answer. It will be 2 by 12 or 1 by 6 would be the answer. So this is, you can just put in the calculator and solve for the probability. Just put in the calculator, multiply by 100, you will get the probability. It's 17%. It's 16.67, I guess, approximated to 17. So this is how we solve it. Let's look into some other problems now. Here we have Phyllis drops a penny in a pond and then she drops a nickel in a pond. What is the probability that both coins land with tails showing? So the coins, both are coins, each have the probability of 1 by 2, 1 by 2. Now, she's not going to drop the same coin or something. Even if she drops the same coin, the probability doesn't affect. If she has two coins, she's dropping. The probability of the first one is 1 by 2, second one is 1 by 2. So it is 1/4 or 25% would be the answer. Very simple. So this is the probability equation. Now, if you're thinking, what do we write? Let's go to the previous problem. It's very simple, right? So you can just write the formula in detail. Write what is probability of A. Probability of A is Omari getting a pair of red socks. Probability B is Omari getting a white t-shirt. So that can be written out. And then put the formula, substitute and solve because this is in writing part. Same thing over here, write both the events and then use the formula and solve it up. The third one is a die is being rolled and a penny is being flipped. So it's same thing, you need to find the probability of the die and the penny. So the probability of A, what is the probability a 2 will be landed? 2 is 1 by 6 and a tail 1 by 2. Very simple problems. Please try them by yourselves now. Now let us go through this problem here. A marble contains 3 red marbles, 2 green marbles and 4 blue marbles. A marble is drawn randomly from the bag and replaced before a second marble is chosen. Find the probability that both marbles are blue. Now here this is a very important sentence, replaced. Now replaced means you choose something and put it back, so the probability is not affected. This is also independent event, independent. So in your exam, please make sure you write the sentence, this situation is an independent event, this event is independent or something like that, okay? And now, what is the probability that both marbles are blue? What is the total marbles? 3 plus 2 plus 4, right? It will be 9 over here. And what is the number of blue marbles available? There are 4. And even the second time, it's again 4. Why? Because after taking the blue marble, that's put back, right? So this would be the answer. 4 by 9, 4 by 9. That's it. Then put in the calculator and solve it. This is independent events. Now, here again, it's a very simple one. Please do try to solve it by yourself. They have told the probability of the rain on 2 days. And what is the probability it will happen on both the days? Just multiply those probabilities. That's it. 40% is 2 by 5. 60 is 3 by 5. You're multiplying them. You'll get the answer. Now determine whether these events are independent or dependent and explain your reasoning. Now let's read through these problems. You roll an even number on a fair die and then spin a spinner numbered 1 to 5 and it lands on an odd number. Now look here, you're using a die and then you're using a spinner. Are these both at all related? No, the die is something separate, the spinner is something separate. These probabilities are just not affected, right? So this is independent. These are independent events because the two events have no bearing on each other. That means they are not affecting each other. Now, what about this one? An ace is drawn from a standard deck of 52 cards and not replaced. Then second ace is drawn. Now this is important. See, not replaced means you have 52 cards, right? And you draw a ace out. So you take that away. You're not putting it back. So now for the next time, out of 52, 1 is reduced. It becomes 51. In the next turn, when you're picking another ace, there are no 52 cards anymore. There's only 51. So it's reduced by 1, isn't it? So this happens. And now again an ace is drawn. So the probability over here would be, there are 4 aces. 4 by 52 multiplied by, now 1 was drawn. So there are 3 more and 51. This is the probability. But they're not asking the probability here. They're just asking whether it's dependent or independent. Here it is a dependent variable. So the answer is dependent. And you can read through it. And what about this? In a bag of 3 green and 4 blue marbles, a blue marble is drawn and not replaced. When you read the sentence "not replaced," you should know this is dependent variable because now it's not replaced. When you draw another blue marble, the number of total marbles initially was 7. Now it changes to 6 in the second try. So it is dependent. Now you roll 2 fey dice and roll a 5 on each. Now see, the dice are not at all related to each other. Like, I mean, you put any number in one die, in the other die, it's all again separate probability. It's 1 by 6 itself. It's not going to affect each other. Whichever number you get in one die, it's not affected. It is independent. So this is independent. And now we have some more problems. So it's about lottery. Mr. Hans places the names of 4 of his students, Joe, Sophia, Hayden, and Bonita, on slips of paper. From these, he intends to randomly select 2 students to represent his class at the robotics convention. He draws the name of the first student, sets it aside, and then draws the name of the second student. What is the probability he draws Sophia and then Joe? Now, here it's very important to know that this is dependent. Why? Because he is going to pick a student's name and then keep it aside and then pick one more. So, what's happening here? Let's understand the situation. There are 4 total students. Okay, total number of students are 4. First, when he chooses 1 student. Now, imagine that is the probability of choosing Sophia. That's 1 out of 4. But now, what is the probability of the next student? Just imagine for an instance that there are 4 students, right? If you're choosing 1, what is the probability? What is, say, probability of Sophia being selected? It's 1 by 4. That's it. But now Sophia's name is gone. It's removed. Now there are only 3 students. So the total number of students remaining is 3. Now Joe is being selected. 1 Joe, that's it. So 1 by 4 into 1 by 3, just solve it up. It'll be 1 by 12. That would be the probability. You need to understand this is a dependent event and then we do it. 1 by 4 times 1 by 3. That's the answer. It's about 8%. So please make sure you mention this. It's a dependent event as well. Now here we have a card that is being drawn from a standard deck of playing cards and is not replaced. Then a second card is drawn. Find the probability that the first card is a jack of spades and the second card is black. Now first card which is being picked, jack of spades. There's only one jack of spades because there are 4 jacks in total but only one jack of spades divided by 52. Standard deck means 52. Now, what is the second probability? It's dependent because it's not replaced, right? Now, it's not replaced. It's clearly mentioned. That means now in the next probability, it will be 51 cards. Now, what is the probability it is a black? Now, sometimes we tend to think, oh, it is 26 because there are 26 cards in the black suit. This would be wrong. Why? Because one card is already removed out and that was jack of spades. That's a black card. So it'll be 26 minus 1. That is 25. Why? Because there are total 26 black cards, yes, but already there was one card, Jack of Spades, removed and not replaced. So it's 1 by 52 into 25 by 51. That would be the answer. So it's 1%. And now here we have a table. It's the same thing, similar problems. The table shows the color and number of jerseys available for intramural volleyball tournament. If each jersey is given away randomly, what is the probability that the first and the second jersey given away are both red? Now, they're giving away. That means it's not gonna be replaced. So it's gonna reduce it. First, find the total number of jerseys. Now there is 20, 40, 50, 60, 70 total, and which are being given away red both the time. So it is 25 by 70, but next time it will be 24 by 69. Why? 25 red jerseys divided by the total number. Now next time again it's being red, so it will be 25 minus 1, that's 24, and it is 70 minus 1, it's 69. So the probability is 12%. This problem looks interesting. I'll solve it up over here. The format used to determine an overall champion varies by sport. One type of format used is the best of 7 series, where up to 7 games are played and 4 wins determine a champion. If you assume that each team has equal chance of winning each game, what is the probability a team winning the first 4 games is best of 7 series? Now, here you need to understand this sentence. If you assume that each team has equal chance of winning, so this is not dependent, it is basically independent. Okay, so all you need to do is independent, 50%, right? Equal chance means 50%, it's half. Just multiply half throughout. How many? 4 games, right? Half, 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 half. It is 6.25% chance of winning. That's it. We know that equal chance means it's 50% or 1 by 2. It's like tossing a coin. Now, how many games are being played? 4 games. So multiply it by half, 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 half. It'll be 1 by 16. There is another interesting problem about business. A sales management team consists of 3 directors and 3 assistant directors. To ensure that each team member has an equal chance to be chosen to represent the team at a national level, national conference, all the 6 names are placed into a hat and 4 names are drawn at random. What is the probability that those chosen will consist of 3 directors and 1 assistant director? Now here first thing is probability that this will happen, right? What is the total possible outcomes? Now here you need to understand there is no order required. Now there are 6 names and 4 are being chosen. It's going to take a long time to find the total possibilities, so we'll use combination. N is 6. The total number of names are 6 and we need just 4. So 6C4 is the total outcomes that is possible. We want the probability of 3 directors and 1 assistant director. Originally there are 3 directors and 3 assistant directors, but we just want all the 3 directors and only 1 assistant director, right? So what is the desired outcome? Now these can be written like this. There are 3 directors and all the 3 directors are being chosen. NCR, that is C3C. But how many assistant directors are there? 3 are there, but only 1 are being chosen. So 3C1. Now we can solve this up using formula or by calculator. If you're using formula, NCR is given by n factorial by r factorial into n minus r the whole factorial. Yeah, okay, whenever the same numbers. But over here, what happens is it'll be, you can solve it, it'll be 3, I believe. Yeah, it'll be 3 factorial by, what is r? It's 1 factorial. Then over here, there is 2 factorial, n minus r, right? So 3 minus 1 is 2 factorial. It'll be 3 times 2 times 1 by 2 into 1. This cancels. You're remaining with only 3. Now here you can use the formula. I'll show the calculator method in a minute. So here it'll be 4 factorial into 2 factorial as well. So what happens? 6 times 5 times 4 factorial. And over here we have 4 factorial. It cancels. And 2 factorial is 2 into 1. This with this, 5 times 3 is 15. So the probability is 3 by 15. Now this is divisible by 3, so 1 by 5. It's 20%. So that is the probability that this particular arrangement, the directors, 3 directors and 1 assistant director will be chosen. So we can see over here, that's the answer. Over here they have written each things in one step. Now you can just refer to what I have written. It's always desired outcomes divided by the total outcomes, right? Just do this and you'll get the answer. I'll show in the calculator now. All you need to do is to use combination C, it's shift and the symbol over here. So you can use anything, C6, C4. That's the answer. If you want to write the entire thing, it's fine. You just use this and write 3 over here, C3 multiplied with 3C1, and you can write the same thing down. It is 6C, sorry, go down. 6C is by shift and division symbol 4, and the answer is 1 by 5. And if you want to know in terms of percent, you just multiply it by 100, it will be 20%. Another interesting problem. I'll just quickly go through this. Iris performs a magic trick in which she holds a standard deck of cards and has each of 3 people randomly choose a card from a deck. So standard deck means 52 cards and 3 people are choosing random cards. Each person keeps his or her card as the next person draws. Now this is important because a card is taken and it is kept with that person. It's not being replaced. So it's dependent via probability, dependent event. What is the probability that all 3 people will draw a heart? So now we need to write what is the probability of heart being chosen in a standard deck of card. It is one suit, right? It's 13 cards divided by 52. This is the probability. When the first person draws, this will be the probability because there are full cards, 52 standard cards and 13 are hearts. But now when the next person draws, one of heart is drawn, so there will be 12 by 51. And even the third person is drawing a heart. So it's going to be 11 by 50. This is it. Put in the calculator, you will get the answer. You can write it as PA, PB, and PC and then solve it up the way you can see it. So remember, as more cards are being drawn of the same suit, it reduces 13 to 11 and even the total number of cards 52, 51, 50. So it's 1.29%. Here we have another problem. The probability that a student takes a geometry and French at Seoul school is 0.064. The probability that a student takes French is 0.45. If taking geometry and taking French are dependent events, what is the probability that a student takes geometry? Okay, you need to write the formula for dependent events. I'll just write over here P of A and B is equal to probability of A, but what is the next one multiplied by the probability of B, condition A, right? Condition that this A has already occurred and this probability changes, so we don't write just P of B. If it was independent events, we just tell probability of A and probability of B, but since they are dependent, we write this as the formula. Now here A is, say, taking geometry and B is French. The probability that the student takes geometry and French at the school is 0.064. This is P of A and B. What is the probability of A? The probability that a student takes French is 0.45. If taking geometry and taking French are dependent, what is the probability that a student takes geometry? Now we need to just find this probability of B, condition A. So just take it to the other side and solve. 0.064 divided by 0.45 would be the answer. This would be the answer. That's it. If you know the formula, it is very simple to solve it. So this is how we solve it. Now you can see here they have written this and you just take this to the other side and divide. So it is 0.14% or 14% chance that the student takes geometry as well. And we move to the last problem. Please try this by yourself. See, all the probabilities are given and you can do it by yourself. Let's just quickly read this. At Bell High School, 43% of students are in an after-school club and 28% play sports What is the probability that a student is an after school club if he or she also plays sport? If being in a club and playing sport are independent. Okay, this is very important. Since they have told it's independent event, doesn't matter what is the probability of playing a sport or anything, it's not going to affect the probability of being in the sports club. They're independent. Basically, the probabilities are not going to affect, right? So now, what do we want? The probability that a student is an after-school club? It's obviously 43% because it's regardless of what they play. See, it's clearly mentioned whether they play sports or they're an after-school club activity. They're not affected because they're independent events. So this is again another simple one, and that's it. So please do practice all these problems by yourselves. Go through them again. All the worked out solution is also there. And if you have any doubts, please do post them in the comments, and I will get back to you very soon. Moving on to the question 20, it is to graph quadratic functions. This is a quadratic function here, x squared plus 6x plus 8. Now we have to write each step and graph it. Now the easiest of all steps would be the table method. Now first of all, this is a quadratic function. We can't just take random values. We need to take specific values. That is, since it's positive x squared, this parabola will open upwards. Now somewhere over here. Now just imagine this the graph. You need to make sure that you find this vertex point, the x value of the vertex, and then take some points before the vertex and after the vertex. You just can't take any random points you want. You can't just take any random points. You need to take specific points. How do you find this x value of vertex? That is given by the formula minus b by 2a, the x-axis of vertex. Now, once you use this formula, you will get where the vertex is lying. Now, let's substitute. What is it? This can be written in the standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. Now, substitute over here. Minus sign as it is. B value is 6 divided by 2 times a, that is 1. A value is 1. X squared coefficient is 1. Now here it will be minus 3. This is very important value. Why? Because now that when you make the table, x and y is enough, or you can make more columns for more detail. I'll just write x and y. Now here the midpoint will be minus 3. Take any two values less than minus 3 and more than minus 3. You can take 2, 3, 4, 5, up to you. You can take any jump also. You can take say minus 4, 5, minus 7, like a jump of 2, that is also fine. But I'll just take simple values, easy to understand. Minus 3 is over here, so it'll be minus 4 and minus 5. Two lesser values and two bigger values. Minus 2, minus 1. Now, this is the x value of the table. You can substitute the x over here and find the y each time, but the simpler method is using your calculator. So all of you take your calculators and we click on the mode and we get so many options, right? Let's click on the mode 7, that is the table option. Now press this equation, type this equation out. Alpha x squared plus 6 alpha x plus 8. To get this x, you need to press alpha and the closing bracket symbol. Now you need to press equal to. If you have the latest model of the calculator, you will get this option. Just press equal to again. Don't press anything. You're just one equation. Otherwise, once you type the equation, when you press equal to, you will get the start option. Now, where do you want to start is this starting x value, the lowest number of x. That is minus 5, the least value. And where do you want to end? At minus 1. And what is the step? Step is the jump between the values. It is minus 4, minus 3, minus 2. It's 1. If it was say 2, 4, 6, 8, then the step would be 2. That means you're jumping a value, right? So now it's just 1. Let's leave it as it is. Press equal to. And you get the table. For minus 5, the values are 3, then 0, minus 1, 0, 3. So you can easily copy the values from this table. Now I just write them out over here. It is 3, 0, minus 1, again 0 and 3, because this is the vertex, right? This is the vertex, then obviously it will be symmetrical. Now, once we have this, what do we do is we graph it up. Now, I'll just draw a rough graph. We know the vertex is at x value of -3. Imagine this is -3, -2, -1, here -4, -5. This is 0, 1. That's not required. Now, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and over here 0, say -1, -2. So this is the basic graph. You generally will be given a graph in grid, so it'll be much easier for you. Now at -3, we need to select the point -1. That's over here. That is the vertex point. Now, what else? We can start with any other point. It's better to start with vertex and then choose any. I'll choose -5 is at 3. -5 and 3 is over here. -4 is at 0, so it'll be over here. -2 is at 0 again. Yes, this points must be symmetrical, and over here it'll be -1 and 3. Now remember, don't join them using straight line. Don't just draw a straight line between 2 points. Draw a smooth curve, okay? Draw a smooth curve and join. Mine is not so smooth, but just make sure you draw a smooth curve like this. I'm drawing a shade, but don't do this. Just make sure you just draw a single smooth curve. It'll be easier in paper. And this is the parabola. Now this is the vertex, and these are the solution points, and it extends till infinity. Basically, it keeps on going. If you find more points as well, you will get the similar shape. It just keeps on going. So that is the answer. Now here they have also asked you to state the domain and range. So the domain is always all real numbers for each and every quadratic function. It's always all real numbers for all quadratic functions. Now, what about the range? Range is the y values. Now, domain is always related to the x values, range is y values. Why is domain all real numbers? Because this keeps on extending forever, right? It keeps on going. So all x values are included. Whereas the range, y, is where the graph starts over here, but it opens upwards. So there is no part of the graph that is below this point of -1. So all points of y will be greater than or equal to -1. That is basically the range. You can write it. Y is greater than or equal to -1, or you can tell all real numbers greater than -1, greater than -1. So this is the answer. So anything is fine, whichever you choose. So this is how we basically graph it. Simple. Make sure you find the vertex, the table, and then the graph. Let us quickly look through the solution as well. The first is the axis of symmetry of the vertex. Then say this is the middle point. We got the same values, and then graphing over here. This is the graph. And if you take accurate scale, you will get the accurate graph. My scale over here was not at all accurate, but you can see this resemblance. Some part is below, everything is almost right. And over here, domain is all real numbers, whereas range, see now I told over here y is greater than or equal to -1. It can be written like this as well. It's the same thing. It's up to you. So it's written exam. So whatever you write it properly. It's fine. You'll get full marks. And now these are all the same problems. Just one important thing to know is whenever you have the leading coefficient of positive, if it's +2 or anything, it'll always open upwards. Whereas if it's minus, it'll go downwards. When you do the table, you'll get the points, and then accordingly, if you join them, you'll get the graph downwards. So here, the first step, defining the axis of symmetry of the vertex, and then using that point, two less points and 2 more points, and then easily graphing it up, and that's the answer. Now here, domain is always all real numbers, but the range is all values less than or equal to +3. Now, which is this point? That is the vertex y value. See over here, the vertex is -1, right? What is the y value? Here it's 3. Since it's minus, it will be less than or equal to -3. If it was plus, it would open upwards. It will be greater than or equal to. So here we have the domain and range. Please do solve all these problems. It's very simple. See over here for the vertex, it's -b See, this minus is there, again minus is there, it'll be positive final answer. B is 4 and 2 times A is again 2. So it'll be 4 by 4, that is 1. And then we do the table and graph it up. Please try graphing all these problems by yourselves. I'll just quickly go through all the solutions. Now this one is simple, there's no plus or minus. So no matter what, you should know the vertex will be 0 here. Even if you use the formula, it'll be 0. Why? Because B is 0. Anything divided 0 divided by anything will be 0, right? And then here, since it's only x, even the y value will be 0. And then graph it. It'll be, since minus, it opens downwards. And the real numbers are all negative real numbers, or y is less than or equal to 0. This is again similar problem. All are simple, straightforward. Please do them by yourselves. You can pause the video, look into the solution, and then check your work. Here we have some interesting problem. They have told to compare graphs. Compare the graph of f of x to a quadratic function g of x with y-intercept 1 and a vertex of 1, 3. Find which function has greater maximum. Now, what is y-intercept? Y-intercept is this point. Can you see over here? This point, the part of the graph which touches the y-axis, that is at -2 for the graph f of x. But here, there is no x-intercept. Why? Because x-intercept is the part of the graph which touches the x-axis. There's only y-intercept here. Now they have told one more graph is having y-intercept of 1. So this is over here, okay? Y equals 1. And it has a vertex at 1, 3. This is the point. Now the 2 points of the graphs are given. Vertex is the turning point. Either this or this. It depends. If it's opening downwards, it will be maximum. Upwards, it will be minimum. Now, can you look over here? It has a point here. So it should be something like this, right? If you draw a smooth curve, it will go like this and it keeps on extending. Okay, that is not accurate, but something like this. So now, which is having a maximum? The maximum over here for f of x is 1, -1. Whereas this is having a maximum of 1, 3. By 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4 units, g of x graph is having a bigger maximum. So the function which is having greater maximum is the second graph g of x. That's the answer. The explanation is given, but you don't need to write so much detail. You can just graph it up. See, this graph is enough. I think so. Yeah, the graph is there. And you can easily compare, right? You can just tell the maximums and see it's 4 units above the vertex, say for the g of x. 4 units above the vertex of the f of x function. Similarly, we have one more function. Please do this by yourselves. But over here, it's not maximum, it's minimum because they're opening upwards. Here we have everything. Y-intercept is given. The vertex is given. Please first graph the other one. See, this is the graph. And then you can tell which is having minimum. The function g of x. You can compare it and write it out. This was an easy topic. I hope you have understood well. If you have any doubts, please post them in the comments. Please try to graph each and every question by yourselves. And the comparing one, please do graph both the functions. A rough graph is enough, and then compare and write it. I'll see you in the next video. We are now in the final question, the question number 21, which is the last question in the writing part. It is to perform operations with complex numbers. The first part, just to find x and y value is easiest among all the writing questions. Here we have an equation and you can see I symbol. That's I means it's imaginary number. Now, how do you solve it is we need to make this equation true. So whatever the coefficient of I is the imaginary part and whatever is the other things, they are the real parts. So you can write real part and solve it up. What is the real parts? It is 9 and equal to symbol and 3x. What is the imaginary? We are just like how we have written real part, write the imaginary. Left side is 12i, then there's equal to and 4y. Now one thing, do not write I. It's understood it's imaginary already, isn't it? So just write this much. Now we equate it and solve it. Divide both the sides by 3. You will get 3 over here equals x. What about this? Divide both the sides by 4. 4 3s are 12. So it's again 3 equals y. The answer is x equals 3 and y equals 3 itself. So that's the answers. Just like that, you can solve any problems. Now over here, the imaginary part is 2y and minus 6. All the terms without the I are real part. X plus 1 in the left side and 3 in the right side. Easily can solve it up. Solve this one as well. Now over here, the real part is the real part 2x plus 7, that is equal to minus 4 on the right side, whereas the imaginary is the coefficient 3 minus y equals 6. Now we have to solve it up. Take the 7 to the other side. It will be 2x is equal to negative 7 minus, sorry, negative 4 minus 7. 2x will be equal to negative 11. Divide both the sides by 2, you will get negative 11 by 2. That is equal to 5.5. It's minus 5.5, sorry. Now here you take the y to the other side because it's negative, isn't it? So bring the 6 to the other side, becomes 3 minus 6 equals y, minus 3 equals y. This is the answer here, and this is the answer. You can keep the answer in terms of fraction or decimal, it's fine. In the sample answer, it's fraction, but you can write a decimal as well. And now here, it's the same method. Please do check the solution for this. Try it by yourselves and then look into the solution. Now we will go to the next type of problems. These are the simple ones. Now we have to simplify. Simplify. This is a huge term, right? Not huge term. There are just 4 terms. We need to try and condense it as much as possible. How do we simplify? Is we need to add these 2 terms. So add the real parts up together. It'll be 6 plus 4. This is real plus, what is the imaginary part? It is 1 minus 5. You can write it as I. And this would be 6 plus 4 is 10. 1 minus 5 would be minus, so I've directly written minus 4i. Now you can just differentiate the real part like this by brackets, imaginary by brackets, and that would be the answer. This is also a very simple problem, and you can see it's 10 minus 4i. Please do solve these by yourselves. Very straightforward. Solve the real parts and the imaginary parts. You can just check the answers over here. 8 minus. Now, here there's minus sign outside the bracket. So remember, this minus is distributed to both the terms. So what happens is it'll be 8 minus 6, that's 2, and plus 3 plus 2. Why? Because minus and minus becomes plus, it'll become 5i. But you need to write in details if this comes for exam. Do the real part separately, imaginary part, and then solve it up. Same thing here. Try them by yourselves. Here, again, it's very straightforward problems. And now we move on to another type of problem, that is multiplication. Now, by now, you must be thorough with these problems. Now, here, you just can't do real part multiplication, imaginary part. No, it doesn't work like that, because this is, like a plus b, a, you can take it as c plus d. What do? You do distributive property, isn't it? So we need to multiply the first term with both and the second term with both. We do the same thing here. 2 times 3, it's 6. 2 times minus I will be minus 2i. Then I times 3 will be plus 3i. And lastly, plus I minus I is minus I squared. Now here we need to know the values of I. I is equal to square root of negative 1, imaginary number. What is the square of I square would be square the square root, you will have minus 1. What is I power 3? You have 3 i's together, but I square, this I3 can be written as I square times I, isn't it? But we know I to the power 3 is minus, I to the power 3 can be written like this, but I to the power 2 is minus 1. So instead of all this, you just write minus I. And what about I power 2? Now, I power 4, my bad. It can be written as I squared times I squared. We know I squared is minus 1 times minus 1. This will make 1, and that's the answer. And you can continue further, but it starts repeating. I to the power 5. I power 4 is 1. So 1 remains, that is I itself. Now what is I power 6? Remove 4 from it. 6 minus 4, it's 2. So it's equal to 2. You can keep on splitting it out like this. I power 7 would be minus I power 8 would be 1, I power 9 would be I, and so on. And this is just for more detail. But here now you just have I squared. So I squared becomes minus 1 here, and this minus and minus becomes plus. It'll be 6. Minus 2 plus 1 is plus I, and over here it will be plus 1. 6 plus 1 is 7 plus I. This would be the final answer. Now you don't need to write this, but you need to write each term. You can do one thing. You can do 2 times 3 as a step. Say first the distributive property over here. 2 times 3 minus 2 times I plus I times 3 minus I times I. And then you can write it. Just do all the steps in detail. So the answer is 7 plus I. Same thing here. Please do the distributive property and solve it up. You can see over here each steps are mentioned. Easily can solve it up. Now even this is pretty simple. Now we will try to see the other type of problems. 34th is kind of a real world problem using the formula V equals CI. Find the voltage in a circuit when current is given over here C minus J amps, and the impedance, that's the resistance, is I equals 3 plus 2J. Now J is the imaginary part and the real part is the numbers. You need to find the voltage. Voltage is given as CI. What is C? C is given as 3 minus J multiplied with I is given as 3 plus 2J. That's it. Now multiply them up. It'll be 3 times 3 is 9. Now you can write detailed step. I'm just doing it directly. Plus 6J minus 3J minus 2J square. And now here it is 9 plus 6 minus 3 would be plus 3J, and over here J squared we had seen just a while ago, I squared equals negative 1. So it is minus 2 times minus 1, it's plus 2. So the answer here would be 11 plus 3 times J, that is the imaginary part. 11 is the real part. So that would be the answer. That many voltage, volts is the unit. Now we are coming to the division, the last part. So here we need to know something called conjugate. Conjugate means if you have A plus B, the conjugate would be A minus B. Just swap this term. Now if you have, say, A minus 3, the conjugate would be A plus 3. Opposite sign. Now here we need to multiply and divide by the conjugate. The conjugate of the denominator only, not above. Numerator is not included, only the denominator's conjugate. It will be 3 minus I divided by 3 minus I. Why do we do this? Here, so we can simplify this. We can work with something. Now here at the right side, if you look, we are dividing, multiplying and dividing by the same number. So it cancels out to be 1, isn't it? So we are just manipulating the equation. There is nothing wrong in this. Here, the denominator is, it can be done like this. A plus B, A minus B is there, right? We can use the power, use the rule of A square minus B square. If you're getting confused with this rule, you can just multiply it. A times A is A square. A times B is A minus AB. There will be plus AB. And lastly minus b square, and the middle terms cancel because it's plus and minus. You will have a squared minus b squared. You can remember this formula directly. Here it will be helpful because 3 plus I, 3 minus I will be 3 squared minus I squared. And then up above we just write them together. 3 times 3 minus I. Now at the left side, now what happens? See, why do we do this in the first place? Why do we multiply and divide by the conjugate? Now when we use this rule over here, this I square is dissolved. Imaginary part is gone. Only in the numerator we have imaginary. In the denominator it will be a number now. See, it becomes 5 times 3 is 15 minus 5 times I is minus 5I divided by 3 square is 9 minus of minus 1. So we have 15 minus 5I, that is 9 minus of minus is plus, so it will be 10. Now, what you can do is you can divide this. What you can easily do is take the phi common out over here. So phi number is common. So it'll be out of 15, phi is gone. So divide this by phi. It'll be 3 minus I divided by 10. Now cancel this one time, two time. So you will have 3 minus I by 2. This is the final simplified form. You can see that would be the answer. Okay. Now I forgot to do one more step. You can leave it. That's the correct answer itself. But here they have just divided this 2 again. You can do the real part separate. 3 by 2 minus I by 2. This is correct. 1 by 2 I or minus I by 2. So this is, the real part and imaginary part is separated. You can always stick to this method as well, because here we are splitting it into two separate forms. That is a plus bi form. That is the general form of imaginary number, complex numbers. Sorry, complex numbers means a real number and an imaginary number. That's it. So that is how we solve it up. Here all the methods are there. Now the last two questions, but these are much simpler than the previous question because there is no two terms in the denominator. So we don't have to multiply and divide by conjugate. Now how do we solve this? You can just split this denominator separately. It will be 7 by 2i minus 13i by 2i. Now remember, this is 7 by 2. I can be written just like an imaginary part. You're not going to write in denominator, numerator. It doesn't make any difference. But here now it cancels off. You might be thinking, okay, it's in the denominator. How can you write in the numerator? For a minute, let's understand what is I. I is an imaginary number. It's not defined. It's square root negative 1. This cannot be defined. What is I squared? It is negative 1. I cube is again minus I. And lastly, I to the power 4 is 1. So if you have minus 1 in the denominator or numerator, will it make any difference? It's just going to change the sign. That's it, right? Now, what about I to the power 4 in the numerator or denominator? It doesn't make any difference. So you keep on writing this further on, it's just going to repeat. So it doesn't matter if it is I, we don't write root of negative 1, we just leave it as I. If it's I cube, we leave it as just negative. It's just the sign that changes. That's fine. So this is the imaginary part, this is the real part. We generally tend to write in this form, a plus bi, the form of complex numbers. The real part will be written first, 13 by 2 plus the imaginary part is 7 by 2i. You can write it in decimal, that is 6.5 plus 3.5i. That's the answer. You can see over here, that's how, okay, they have written in fraction, but that's fine. We have just written in both the forms. So that is how we can do it. And remember the signs and just be careful. The I divided by this goes off, imaginary number goes off, it becomes a real part. Same thing here, you just divide by 3i on both the sides. This left side becomes 6 by 3, that is 2i imaginary part. Whereas the right side, it's 5 by 3 only, that's the real part. Please try solving all the problems by yourselves. I wish you all the best in your studies. I hope the exam goes well and easy. Please do practice more and more problems by yourselves. Please do subscribe to my channel and do share my videos with your friends. If you have any doubts, any questions, please post them in the comments and I'll get back to you very soon. Wish you all happy learning and all the best.